Tuesday, well, it's actually Wednesday, October the 15th.
The 12th.
12.
Huh?
The 12th.
12.
Plus or minus.
No, okay. Has anybody got any additions or corrections they wanna make to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as printed.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone got a conflict of interest of anything on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on.
No, it was separate.
There's no public here at the present time. The minutes of October the 14th.
Just one typo or something,
Yeah.
where it said that the meeting's gonna get changed to the 13th
Oh, okay.
instead of the 12th.
Oh, okay. We're confused with dates too. Where was that?
I don't know. I just made note to change,
Alright, we'll find it.
yeah. He said because of the holiday, it's gonna be the
The 13th.
The 13th.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
move to approve with that one revision.
Or a second?
Support.
Thank you. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes. Miles, do you have any communications? I know you
Yeah.
got something from Woodhull.
Yep, we got a late one today via US mail, so it wasn't included in the packet, but I will scan this and email it out to the planning commission if any of you guys are interested. And then we can, I'll talk to Taylor about hosting it somewhere, wherever she thinks is appropriate, if the general public's interested, but Woodhull Township has completed the new township master plan draft, so this is their initial draft. They're running a 63 long, review and public hearing period. I don't see the, oh, here we go, public hearing will be held on January 20th at 7 PM at their, township hall, so, yeah, if you're interested in commenting on their plan, they're in their public, hearing period right now.
Did you say 7 PM?
Yes, 7 PM.
7 PM, yeah. We do share a 6-mile border with Woodhull, so I guess if you were right on the border, you might be of interest.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Other than that, that's all we got, Chair.
no, thank you, Miles. Old business, we got the landscape ordinance. You wanna give us the?
Yeah, this
update
is
on
just
that, Miles?
the-
That's renumbering, I think.
Yep, this is the renumbering one, no one seemed to have any issues with that last time, we just needed to hold a public hearing on it. We waited to hold the public hearing so we can notice some other things
Yep.
at the same time. We'll make sure we did this section 2 part to file it in the correct order, and we'll work with Muni Code to make sure they understand what's going on here and they don't get confused and ruin our whole ordinance.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Are you looking for action on this?
Once the public hearing is open and closed, it'd be good, in my opinion, to, receive a vote.
Yeah, well, we can open the public hearing, I guess. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Move to open the meeting for public comment.
Second?
Those in favor say aye.
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 Move to close the meeting for public comment.
Second?
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Man, motion passes, so,
Move to approve the landscaping ordinance renumbering as presented.
thank you. Thank you. Miles, does this go to the board?
It does, yeah, sorry about the formality, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think it does, yeah. Let's do a roll call then.
Okay, trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
and then, we have it, I don't know if we addressed it, but we have one absent tonight, and then
Yes.
Vice Chair Baker,
Yes.
Chair Wright,
Yes,
trustee Crainer, sorry.
Yes.
Or, I said trustee, Commissioner Almarigi,
Yes.
Commissioner Severie.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm a she, I try to do it, and I can't do it.
thanks, Miles.
Alright,
Okay, so let's move on to special provisions.
let's see. Okay, here. Alright, so, this is the one we wanted to talk about in a little bit more detail. I'll try to blow this up a little bit larger here so everyone can see. We had a pretty decent discussion last time about terminology and language. We tried to make some of those fixes in the best way we saw, we saw fit. Obviously, the planning staff wanted to come back to this body and ask you guys for your opinion, cause we do realize that this is a sensitive thing we're talking about, this is going to affect people, this is going to affect their property, how they use their land, how people maybe even visit loved ones in the township, so it's not something we're in a rush to get done. With all that being said, we did add the force majeure language, which we did think was superior to what we presented. We did define it, however, though, cause it's not something you hear every day, although after kind of, bouncing it off other staff at the township, and legal counsel, it seemed like people were familiar with the term. We had a long conversation about, and a lot of the edits in here will reflect this, but at a high level, we had a long conversation about the terms dwelling, occupy, what makes something a house versus an RV, and we felt like decoupling that term dwelling out of this altogether was a good way to not, ill-define something in one area of the ordinance and then redefine it in other areas of the township code ordinance. And then, now we're kinda talking past ourselves within our own ordinance. So just removing that completely out, so word dwelling not as pervasive in this ordinance anymore, at least this section. And then the term we came up with, and we workshopped a bunch of other ordinances in this space and tried to figure out what was the best way, but it's mobile quarters. So,
I wondered how you came to that term.
other people have used it, there were some other municipalities we looked at, I don't think any of them were in Michigan, but I think if you guys have been following the news in this area of RV camper, people using those for long-term, as I think I stated last time. This is kind of a hot topic where everyone from local municipalities to MDOT right now is reviewing this. They're having a lot of problems with people long-term living at rest areas in the state of Michigan, like the ones off the highway, or just living there for 30 days and then driving to the next one, living there for 30 days and then and so on. And so mobile quarters is some, terminology that a lot of places are looking at right now. Planning staff liked that out of some options that were available, because one, it doesn't use the word dwelling, right? So that
Right.
helps us mitigate the confusion there. And we thought quarters was a common enough term for the layperson to understand what we're talking about. We're talking about an area where you are engaging in dwelling-esque activities, you are occupying it, you are living in it, you are cooking food, you are sleeping in it. Like, I think most people can understand what quarters are. And then obviously the mobile qualifier is important there. These are things that people intend to be highly mobile. Or designed that way, and they're not being used in that function. We did define temporary, we put a time limit on that. Or temporary structures, we defined that, I think we put a time limit later.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if the quarters does not have wheels. But by all other means is a quarters that is of temporary status,
What is that thing that you're talking, cause if we played through some of these scenarios, like, I was thinking like
Sea
shed.
container.
Yeah, like a sea container, tent, yurt,
Yeah, we talked through those and we felt like they were already covered under the, expanse of accessory structure part of the ordinance. And what's allowed in accessory structures and not allowed in accessory structures. The one that we kinda didn't, that we think is still hanging out there, and I think this one might just even be covered under blight, but like, we were like, well, what if somebody gets a pile of pallets and throws a tarp on it? But we're like, that's more of a blight issue, we're getting away from what is even structure-esque at that point. So yeah, we felt like it covers it pretty well, there's still some stuff, so I'm just gonna go kinda line item by line item here, so,
In section 2,
Yeah,
You talk about temporary buildings and temporary structures, what's the difference?
well, that's a good question. Throughout the entirety of the code of ordinance, they use the terms buildings and structures in different places in the ordinance interchangeably. Sometimes they use them both, sometimes they use one, sometimes they use the other. We just thought, let's cover ourselves and just use them both here.
So basically they're the same.
Yeah, and you can see, we're not adding the words building or structure, we just added the qualifier of temporary, because structures and buildings are in the zoning ordinance at least defined differently. We felt like they're two things, and we can't have one temporary word cover both, and especially because we're adding now a third new thing. So it's really like item one, like grammatically speaking, item one, item two, item three. So it's a choice, but, you know, we're open to whatever. Alright, so during renovation of a permanent building damaged by force majeure, maybe the word event should go there. After I just read that aloud. You think the word event or force majeure event, the temporary building, temporary structure or mobile quarters must be removed, when the repair of fire damage, when the repair of damage is complete.
Resulting damage.
Yeah, maybe a qualifying word there. But in no case shall be located on the lot or parcel more than, we went with 180 days is
Yeah.
what we talked about last time.
Yes.
They still have the ability to come before the ZBA and extend that, but we were like 90 days is, I still don't know if 180 days might be too short, but I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. To your-
I mean, it depends on the force majeure
The scope of
event.
the
Total
damage.
fire, total loss, 6 months is never gonna be enough
No.
to fully
Could be a
rebuild.
couple of years even.
Yeah. it
And
could
that's
be-
why I feel
could,
like if
you
you're
know.
doing a total loss at that point, like your insurance company's probably paying you to board up somewhere.
True, but they could also be renting you a trailer to put on your property. I mean, that's kinda what FEMA does, right?
Right.
They'll
Yeah.
Give
Yes,
you
they do,
a
yeah.
temporary trailer on your property, cause that's
Yeah.
probably cheaper
Yes.
than paying to rent a house or a hotel or something
Right.
like
Well, yeah,
that.
I think that's what FEMA would do too, in my experience, my limited experience here in the township with the couple events that have happened here that were like in the force majeure-esque, you know. Insurance gave them a stipend to go get a dwelling somewhere, you know,
Yeah.
they give them like $1,500 a month for
My
rent.
thought on this is, I mean, I get why we don't wanna make it a long period of time.
Yeah,
Cause we don't wanna get taken advantage of, but I also get, we're forcing them to pony up, what is it, $500 now to have a ZBA meeting to extend it in
Yeah.
potentially a situation where it should obviously be extended.
Yeah,
Is that something that the planning commission could decide on at zero cost before it went to the ZBA?
that's, I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah,
I'm
Right.
just thinking about, you know,
But
if
that's
it's a
not the
situation
process.
where it's obviously gonna be more than 180 days, do we really wanna somewhat
good point.
unnecessarily put somebody in a position where
Right.
they have to write a check and go to this meeting, even if maybe their insurance company covers that, or they can pay it out of that money? That seems like kind of an unnecessary, annoying burden to have to go through, so that others aren't able to take advantage of a more generous period of time.
Mark, you had something?
The only issue I have with that, if we put it in there at the 180 days, they will be aware of that and know that they're coming to a point, and we need to know what the actions are, what is happening, so that we don't. So I don't know that having the 6 months versus going a year, we have to put something in there so that we know what's going to be happening. They have to come back and talk to us.
Yeah, or the planner or the building official or whatever could automatically grant that
Yeah.
extension on a case-by-case basis,
Well, you could do,
maybe?
you never wanna do that, but you
Okay.
could do something where you would say like, a a 6-month extension can be granted administratively, and then anything above that, you have to come.
I think that seems more reasonable.
Not to this board, though.
Yeah, typically you would see at the ZBA, I don't know if there's a reason, that's the way
No,
I've always.
not to this board.
Yeah, typically I've always seen it go to the ZBA, and like any ordinance I reviewed, I don't know, I don't think there would be a problem with bringing it before the planning commission, that's just not what's typical.
Okay. I'm just thinking that's free, we're already meeting, so it isn't a
Right,
special
yeah,
But if
costly
they,
event.
but if he can grant it in-house.
Yeah,
for-
that's
and-
probably even
and it-
easier.
And it don't have to come before us, and then it can go to the ZBA.
Yeah, I think that
So
sounds
180
reasonable.
days, 6-month extension administratively, ZBA after that.
Yeah,
Why is this going white on you guys?
I don't know.
So, I mean, we're making an assumption that we have good actors in the township, which I think is a fair assumption, right?
Yeah, 9
now.
times out of 10, you have a good actor, it's the,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on
are you mean
now.
administratively, or are you talking about the
Yeah,
applicant?
administratively, and
Right
so,
now.
but say you're an aggrieved neighbor, right? And the hillbillies up at the township are just approving, you know, they're friends, right? I mean, worst case scenario, right, which is
Right.
part of what we're trying to, like,
I think that burden
We're
falls
trying to
on the elected
mitigate that.
officials then to, you know, they're not maintaining a up and up operation, then
so.
puts on somebody who will.
Yeah, I mean, the best practice would be for the zoning board of appeals to, a body to review and make that decision. The issue that you're identifying is why do we have a $500 fee for something that is clearly a hardship? And so, one pathway is to do administrative, but I don't know if we have a different pathway of a more diversified ZBA scheme. And maybe that doesn't make sense, given that we pay our ZBA members, right? So certain ZBA considerations fall under a lower cost review, whereas others of like, I wanna build a garage in a place that I feel doesn't feel is great. Yeah, we want some,
Deviates from the common ordinance.
yeah, we want some hurdle that's, you know, makes sure that they have, you know, skin in the game.
Yeah, so like what you're saying, like the fix, it's the money that you're held up on, so you could go to the fee schedule and we could amend the fee schedule to say force majeure event for review is $0, and the township just
Yeah,
absorbs that.
and you can just do it at another ZBA meeting.
Yeah, but they are usually
Yeah.
typically, if we're holding the ZBA, it'd be because of
Oh,
this.
okay.
And then it's not, again, remember, the main reason that we're incurring costs is noticing.
Yes.
So the
That's
township
where the
will
money comes
absorb,
in.
the township will absorb that cost, but that's just a choice, you're just saying like, we as a township, and when this goes to the board, have determined that somebody in this distressed situation, we can cover them, cause as a community, we think there's value in that. Where some guy that wants a shed, we think you should have to pay your way to get the shed, dude,
Well, that's reasonable, I think.
but that would be a fix.
I don't know how everybody else feels about this, but I think that we should be able to do one extension administratively. And if there's another extension required, then we'll go down the other route.
Okay.
But that's my personal opinion.
No, I agree. I think 180 days is good. Then we have to have some way to let them get the next 180 days relatively easily.
Yeah, that gets them to a year.
Well, so, I mean, but think about tools for the administration of the staff, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna want some cover, right? So say someone is just sitting on the repair and they fall under force majeure due to some, you know,
Yeah,
but they're
but the
dragging their
site's not
feet,
moving
right?
forward, yeah.
What's, wouldn't you want something in the language to give you the cover to say no? Because if we just say, if you don't have any language that would drive that.
Yeah, that's
yes
not-
or no-
I get where you're going, that's not a bad thought, just like, I'm trying to think what we
Seeing a
would say.
progress
Yeah, like a portion.
report, yeah, just, that they are,
Our administrative request can only be granted if, progress has been made, continuous progress has been shown to have been made.
Yeah,
Or
you got the definition
extenuating,
right here,
proof
but
of
it-
extenuating factors, like you
Majeure.
haven't
Majeure.
gotten your insurance claim yet, or, you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
like
proof-
there's there's a lawsuit going
Yeah.
on, or these factors that are
Yeah,
out of your
that's a good
control of
one.
those timelines.
Continuous progress has been shown to be made, or proof has been provided to the department of extenuating circumstances that have caused delay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Yeah, take a note of that. We'll probably have to build. Yeah, we'll just build it right off the back of that, we'll keep it in A, but it'll just, A will be a little bit longer now. Okay, alright, so moving, is everybody cool, we're cool with that, if we got our instructions, okay. When construction has occurred on the premise or property, a temporary structure may be permitted, for related construction uses such as an office space or other administrative functions, provided that continuous progress concerning the construction is maintained. So this is the shipping container question. We said last time, how it was ran last time excluded shipping containers for use related to, like, storage of materials. Now we're saying, yeah, you can store materials.
So the administrative functions, is that intended to restrict the storage of materials?
No, that wasn't our intent.
Okay.
You don't think a different word would be better instead of administrative functions?
Cause when I think
I could agree with
administrative,
that. You
I think office,
office,
right?
yeah.
I mean, take out, construction related functions.
Yeah, we said, that's where, when storage of, this office related function, so like the storage of files or whatever, that was in addition to what we've already stated here, which is
Oh, you just
construction uses.
Added to the other clause, got it.
Yeah, so we're saying thing one, let's
Yeah.
say storage of lumber, thing two, you know, it's a bigger construction job site, now
Yeah.
they're using it for, they have a straight up office, and then thing three, administrative functions. However, provided we're seeing progress, you can't just have this thing set up shop for a year with nothing happening.
But this temporary construction cannot be used for habitation, right?
Yep, we never said anywhere in there, we're not negatively saying that, we're not, but we never said it was good for that. So we didn't say the affirmative, we didn't say the negative.
So the object of this is to keep from living in it though, correct?
That is
that'd
that
be
is the
covered.
purpose of everything we're talking about, but this B specifically is just to allow the use of those temporary structures that we were talking about for construction.
So what about a guy that's got a job site trailer that he uses for job sites?
What do you mean by a job site trailer?
A trailer that has an office and tools in it.
That would be
he takes-
good, as long as they're in the process of building, that's good to go.
No, that he takes to a job site and he has it at home and then he takes it to the job site.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think that's even applicable to anything we're talking
Okay,
about.
just,
You can't couple that to the fact that he's storing it at his house when it's not at a job site.
That just sounds like a contractor with a trailer.
Correct.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I think you should say 15 days after you get an occupancy permit. Cause you could have construction complete, but for some reason you don't get an occupancy permit.
Well, you need it if the construction is complete.
Yeah.
Okay, if you interpret construction is complete in that case, it means that you have got an occupancy permit.
Yeah, and we're saying when construction is occurring.
No, I'm talking about the next C.
Oh, okay. Temporary building construction work except single family residence shall be removed 15 days after construction is complete. Okay, you're saying, instead of saying construction is complete, you're saying once occupancy is issued, I'm fine with that. But by going, construction is complete is almost stricter than occupancy permit, cause construction could be wrapping up, and then another 30 days could go by until occupancy is issued.
Right,
So, construction is complete, that terminology would get the temporary structure, AKA shipping container, removed quicker.
Yeah.
right.
So there might be value in keeping that. But in no case shall the building or structure be allowed more than 12 months unless expressly authorized again by this. So is everybody cool with that 12 months? We're running a job site, you get your shipping container for a year, you need more time than that, you gotta come to the ZBA.
Right.
Maybe I'm slow here. So in A, we talk about 180 days and then you can get an additional 180 days based on petition.
Administratively, yeah.
But for,
Administratively.
and that's for dwelling structure, or mobile dwelling structure,
Yeah.
whatever. But for the other non-dwelling temporary structures, they automatically get 12 months.
Yeah, for like a shipping container.
And it's not related to a forced, whatever.
That's just regular construction, yeah. But it's the dwelling part that we're being more strict
Okay.
on, yeah.
Alright,
Listen, hey, it talks about temporary buildings and temporary structures.
It does. Assuming though that people are gonna, and mobile quarters, which all three of which, or one of which we are assuming people might be using for dwelling while the site is. But here, it's except single family residence, incident, and these structures, but incidental to construction work. So not like a shipping container that's built to dwell in, it's gotta be a shipping container that's incidental to the construction work.
You say a shipping container that's built for dwelling.
That's just the example I keep using, cause yeah, you can, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there are shipping containers that are prefab set up.
Oh,
for-
yeah,
You
yeah.
can drop them on a site, it's got a toilet, AC, it's ready to be lived in. Okay, moving on here, and sorry about, first of all, when you do the red line edits, as people have done these before, it messes with this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to format correctly, so sometimes we just leave it till we're ready to accept the edits. So trailers or modified wheel vehicles shall not be used for storage of materials of any kind except as in section 1519B above, so then we kinda give that the call out. So yeah. Cause we don't want just anybody storing anything in a yard of shipping containers they put on their property. Alright, temporary buildings and structures incidental to a church or a school are permitted within the township, provided that all wiring, plumbing, fire protection, exits approved by the fire chief and the building official and by relevant state agencies. This is more speaking to, and I think we don't have any authority over this anyways, when it relates to schools, but this is speaking to like, it's a
Temporary.
larger church, they've got one of those daycare prefab structures in the back 40. We're giving them a carve out.
We call
You're
them
talking about
portables at school.
temporary classroom type things.
Temporary classroom type structures.
Right.
so, I mean, we don't have any authority over schools, right?
We don't.
No.
We have
So-
some over churches and it does depend, it can get messy.
So why are we giving an exemption to churches?
Because sometimes they'll run like daycare or like they'll run religious classes and sometimes they use those structures. I
Some
don't,
community
I don't
benefit?
think we currently have any in operation in the township, but I could see it being a thing in the future, so.
But what if it was like a storage facility or something like that? I mean, do we want to make the use of that structure tied to a,
Education and.
yeah, some along those lines, as opposed to they just have leftover construction materials, or,
I guess we're saying incidental to a church or a school, so one could it's not, to your point, it's not like we're not directly saying like, it must be directly related to this, but we are saying like, well, it's gotta have something to do with the church, you can't just like be running a lumber yard in your 501c3's backyard and saying, hey man, this is just, you said, we're covered.
Is it just public schools that are exempt, or is it all schools?
All schools,
All
public
schools.
and private.
So how do you just get yourself registered as a school? You don't have to follow any rules.
There is a state process to be registered as
Homeschool?
a school, well, not homeschool. That you don't have to go through the state process, but if you're doing like a community learning center, and we do have
Like
one
our
of those private schools
Sundial or
on state road, they had to
whatever
go
that
through
is.
the state's
Yeah.
process, cause they're actively taking
Okay.
people's kids,
Yeah.
putting them in a room and teaching them a curriculum,
Right.
so it's different than
Okay.
homeschool.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure about that, if it was just public schools or all schools.
We have a long, write-up from our legal counsel on what that land use is and how we can regulate it and what we can't regulate, that I read at one point.
I feel like churches should have to run through the ZBA for their incidental uses.
Yeah, that's fair enough, I mean, that's a choice, we have some, is some regulatory authority over how churches use land.
And so, the reason is not, like, I'm not trying to parcel out or, point out like Baptist Church or something like that. What counts as a church
Oh, yeah,
can be pretty wide.
The city of Flint has massive problems on this. When I was there, we did a church inventory, cause so many people, really for tax reasons, claiming that their house was a church.
So,
I mean,
with that in mind, that's the, basis for maybe we should have something a little bit more than just a carte blanche for churches.
That's a fair point. So what do you think, just, I mean, really from, like you said, from the school perspective, I think we're preempted from doing anything anyways. So by that stretch, I guess we're only really building a carve out for churches, we could just delete F.
F or
E, sorry, I'm getting confused.
E,
I don't even know.
well,
That is an E. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So what do you think, I mean, Commissioner Almarigi does have a point, like, yes, it's a real problem when I worked in Flint, for sure.
I mean, if schools already have their own rules, and that's clearly defined,
Yep,
then I don't think we need to say anything
yeah,
so schools,
About churches.
about schools or churches.
Or churches.
Churches just follow the rules, and
Yeah.
schools have their own, they don't follow any rules.
they don't have to follow any rules.
So, yeah.
Okay, alright, that's notes for us, so we'll look at deleting F. E, I'm so sorry, E.
I'm gonna get struck by lightning.
You're good, it's great, I mean, it's good to bring that kind of stuff up, because, sometimes when you live in a society and you're always like the rational actor, or like, you're like, oh, well, people obviously follow the rules, it's like, no, they won't, and sometimes you gotta be reminded of it, yeah.
can't make that assumption.
Alright, so now F, the owner or renter of any premise, upon which a dwelling is situated may permit the parking of a mobile quarters inhabited by a guest or a visitor on the premises for which a consecutive 30-day event, no more than 2 events of such nature shall occur within 365-day period. So that is a long way of saying, we're allowing people to visit their family and park that RV for up to 30 days, and they can do that twice a year.
But I think I asked this question last time, how much of a gap is gonna be between those two events?
Right now, I mean, as
I don't think-
defined, it could be hours.
Yeah, so it could be 60 days.
It could, yeah, well, they could move it and then come right back and park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or they could go up north and come back.
So, one way to think about this is realistically, say you have relatives that, whether they're your parents that want to visit grandkids or something like that. How often are they gonna visit? I think we're thinking longer periods of time, but if we're talking about limiting this to, and we're focused on 230-day, 60 days total occupancy in that spot. But what if there's
What, there's like 5 events in 3 days?
shorter events.
So that
tied
would-
to holidays.
That is a thing, I mean, this is why we have to bring this up. So I think our conversation last time, the reason we didn't put a gap between the events is how the conversation kinda went last time was, well, what if I come and I stay for the summer? Right, and so we were like, okay, well, we'll just say 30 days, 2 events, you put those 2 events, stack them together, that's 60 days, that's most of summer, But now you're bringing up another point on the other end of the spectrum was, well, most people, and you're probably right. And this is where sometimes you gotta use the planning rule, you gotta plan for the 80%, cause you can never plan for the 20%. So just plan for 80, what will most people do, write the ordinance that way, and when that wild card event happens, you just have to deal with it. But I would agree that most people are probably gonna come, if they have an RV and they're visiting their family, it's gonna be a couple events, but they're gonna be shorter in duration. But you are right, like, if they come 3 times a year and you got a neighbor that's like really after these people when that RV's around, yeah, they only get 2 events. It doesn't matter the duration of those events.
So,
But one of the points that we were trying to close off was you park an RV on your lot and you rent it out. That's what this takes care of, because they come in, plant the RV, throw some bales of hay around it, and now they can rent it out to somebody. And we're trying to say if it's mobile, it's in here, and we can control that.
alright, what about this? What if we say no more than 60 total days, which may consist of 2 30-day events, 4 15-day events?
Yeah, you could break it down like that.
I
But
kinda
we-
like that better. I was trying to put together some sort of like, minimum end as well. Like you could have unlimited, 1 week events, but they had to have a gap of time in between them or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
but then do
Because-
you have 61-day events? Where it's like the RV every Saturday, I got somebody next to my house living. Like, I feel like you gotta go to cut off on that end of the spectrum too.
Every weekend.
Yeah.
Most people I know that.
Cause there's 52 days and 52 weeks in the year, so that gets me every Saturday. I'm trying to like hang outside, cause that's my one day off, and I got Airbnb running every Saturday next to me. in an
Could you
RV.
just say that you can't do that?
Yeah, I mean, you could say, you can say that, but how, it's always the how do you say it, cause that's gonna matter here.
Well, and then you gotta enforce it. How you gonna
Right.
enforce it?
I mean, I'm just thinking like the grandparent, the snowbird type situation. That seems really plausible, and now it's been a trend sometimes for families to sell their house and travel the country and live in these things.
We don't,
And yeah, you don't wanna preclude out of town family from in their own RV not being able to utilize it to stay by being too strict, but it's finding that balance of not getting taken advantage of, which is why we're here.
yeah.
In the whole place. I
So
kinda
what-
like the more unlimited, and honestly, I mean, I guess the every Saturday, if they're renting it out, if we don't regulate Airbnbs, then we're not regulating.
Yeah, let me ask you, let me say this though, because I could see that. So we don't need to, between all of us sitting here tonight, we don't need to come up with a solution for this. We can, put our heads together in the office and see what we come up with and bring it back to you guys, even multiple options. But to do that work, what do we think the common amount, again, that 80-20 rule, what do we think the common amount of events per year? Most people, grandparent example, how many times a year are they coming to visit?
I mean, holidays, summer, probably birthdays.
So how many times do we think that
6.
is? On the high end, 8.
Probably.
Okay.
I mean, what did Benjamin Franklin say about house guests and fish? I think
I don't know that one.
they both start to smell after so many days. There's probably somebody out here who's reading this ordinance going, make it shorter, make it shorter. Give me a reason to kick them out.
The only reason I ask that though is cause we can probably figure out something on both ends of the spectrum that addresses what we were talking about, what they come for the summer and they come for so many events. We can get the language right, we'll do that, but to do that, I just need to know how many events you guys are thinking. I don't see more than 8.
No,
No, I
probably
wouldn't
not.
think so.
You would hope not.
And that covers the 80%, right? So like if there's somebody that's like, well, I visit my family 12, alright man, well, you're in the minority and we have to write this for the majority.
Right.
And if it's an
What's
issue,
60 divided by 8?
And,
7.5.
if we found out that we got a lot of feedback after this is in place, that it doesn't really meet the needs of what we intended, I mean, we can always,
Yeah, you can always bring
Revisit
it
it.
back, yeah.
Yeah, right.
the people I know that use them are people that come up, like for the summer, that I think of 2 families specifically, that they come up, stay like next to the barn or out by the pond or whatever for a couple months in the summer and then go back to Florida or whatever. They make a couple stops up north and then they come back down here and then they go, you know, they might be down for a week on the way back through. The other person I know has one of the big travel things, and they go several times a year. They'll go down to Florida, they'll stay with their brother for a week, they'll come back up here, they'll stay with their sister for a week.
Yep.
You know, and it's not like they're there for 2 months, they're usually 30 days-ish, you know.
4
and then
weeks
back
or.
a Couple weeks.
And in those situations, if they're down by the pond and in the holler, and you guys would never know, right?
We never know.
And the issue is like when, you know, parked on the street or,
Next, if
Or
you're in
next-
town
in
and.
the
Next to Miles's
driveway
house.
And they're plugged in.
There's currently no one living in a trailer next to my house, so we're good there for
Good.
now. For now. But yeah, it's a, you know, if you got 50 acres and they're down by the pond,
Yeah.
we're not gonna find on satellite imagery, right? Cause it's not gonna be there long enough. But, you know, when we do get the phone calls is, it's like they own an acre and they're on Clark Road.
I
And
know.
it's like, why are there 3 trailers parked next to this house? Like, we'll get random people that are like, dude, I've been driving down Clark, like, are you guys, is this cool in your township? And then we have to be like, yeah, it's not cool, we're looking into it.
Cause we wanna prevent that, like I know we're in a different township where there's a trailer parked behind a house, behind a garage, and they're living in it, and it's problematic for the
Well,
neighbors.
and I know in, Mundy Township, which is north of where I'm from, there's a property where it's like a family compound, where they got like 15 trailers, there's one big house, and the whole, like, cousins, everybody's, and the township's like, taking him to court multiple times, and, but that's, you know, that can be a thing, and especially, again, like, housing's expensive right now, so
Yep,
this is
sure
becoming
is.
a thing.
Well, it makes it hard to know a trailer parked in somebody's yard that's being habited or that just really stored. I'm thinking of a place, it's not in the township, but there's a trailer parked in their yard all the time.
Yeah, the beauty in Michigan is typically that's fairly obvious if they're just parking versus living, because they have to insulate for the winter.
Yeah. I mean, this trailer's used sometimes on site, sometimes it's not, depends if they have somebody come visit.
Okay, oh, sorry, but yeah, no.
You just don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. Usually, like, the worst offenders, we know, like, where it's very
Oh, yeah.
obvious.
Well, there's some homes on Ann Drive that have trailers sitting in the front yard,
Yeah,
more than one,
some
more
good
than one trailer in one yard.
Facebook reading about Andrive, this last week. Alright, I think we're on this one now, so we'll clean up F, we'll see what we can do and see if you guys like what we come up with, we might even bring back a couple options for that one. The long-term use of temporary structures, temporary buildings, and mobile quarters as dwelling structures, again, we are using that term dwelling here, but that's intentional in this one instance, is expressly prohibited in Bath Township unless otherwise authorized by this ordinance, which is the, you know, the force majeure situation.
So how does this get, once enacted, then how does this get enforced?
So once we're done writing this up, what you'll see right now as we're looking at it is this is only 15.19. We're gonna do what we did with the marijuana language when we wrote it, and we did all the marijuana ordinances, and that ordinance actually lives in 2 places in the ordinance. It lives under the zoning ordinance, but also lives under the regulatory ordinance. We're gonna do the same thing with this one. That allows it allows 2 things to happen. The first thing is the zoning administrator can regulate under their authority, whoever that happens to be at the time. And then the code enforcement officer can also regulate under their authority. Also, by making something, the problem with zoning ordinances sometimes when you get into these land use issues is their grandfathering is a thing that is permitted. So somebody could be like, hey man, you guys just did this, I've been living in this thing, like, good luck, you know? And under zoning, that is the case, but under our regulatory ordinance, grandfathering's not a thing.
You know, you can't do it.
Is there gonna be timelines, timeframes implemented to end some of these practices that we know are occurring and
So-
have been occurring for a long time around the
That's a good
township?
question. Under this section 3 servability, this is something that typically is pretty standard language for most of the things we pass, but, we could say the servability of this ordinance is, you know, there will be an educational period and then the effective date we could set out. So if that's something the board's interested or the planning commission thinks would be wise to send it to the board in that manner, that's something we could do.
I think just, can I add to
Yeah.
that? I mean, one thing that I'm sensitive to is that we have a housing crisis.
Yeah.
And that's just gonna get worse, right? And what these people are doing is trying to not live on the streets. And. you know,
Or they're not taking up low-income housing from somebody else.
Or that, right? Cause they're living with family members or, and so, I mean, this, you know, in one sense, you know, we're trying to maintain our community, but at the same sense, we're heartless D-bags in doing this.
Well, so there's two ends of the spectrum, and this is like the classic zoning debate, right, is freedom versus regulation.
Yep.
And for me, obviously, like, I can be biased cause I got into planning, I think there's like value in some of this. If I didn't think that, I'd be like questioning my whole life. But, the problem for me is, and I think I do default to more of a freedom guy in a lot of my personal activities, but freedom only extends in most US law until you start to negatively impact the freedom or use of others. So that's where, if you wanna live and you got the back 40 and it's on a pond and we can't freaking tell anyways, I guess, like, just, aside from my role as planner and zoning, morally, I don't care, right? But if you now have two trailers and they're 6 feet from my house and I have to sell my home this year and you've devalued my house by 50 grand, we got a big problem.
So
Now,
does this-
we're not the D-bags, you've devalued my house, you're robbing me, dude.
And under normal circumstances, yeah, that, I mean, I am on the same page there in terms of, you know, I don't care what you do as long as it doesn't affect me. However, you know, times get tough, right? And communities are communities, right? It's not just a collection of individuals with individual rights that, you know, and that are absolute. You know, sometimes we have to, you know, create space, and this isn't probably the best space for the township to consider, you know, housing issues. You know, in terms of the regulatory space as opposed to social service space, but, you know, and I don't know, you know, and I don't know if I'm reading in between the lines in terms of like, when does this go into effect? And how many people are we gonna like basically push out, you know?
If I think about how many people we're gonna push out, like realistically, what I think that number is, I think it would be less than 10.
But shit, dude.
So, yeah,
It's still 10 humans.
yeah,
It is, it's kind of that two sides of this coin of, we're putting in the work, we want this ordinance, we want the end result. Why write this ordinance if we're not going to enforce it, if it's not going to be enforced?
yeah.
But at the same time, what is the reasonable way to start enforcing it? Like, obviously, going forward, you know, in a month or whatever, if someone's pulling in their trailer, it's hey, not so fast. But for the ones that are in existence, what's kind of that reasonable phasing out
Yeah.
of current practices that have been allowed?
Well, by this ordinance right out of the gate, they would have, as like written tonight at least, they would have 60 days. Right, cause now they're just, hey man, like you can't, the ordinance is now in effect. Yeah, it does call for a 60-day period, you know, you can have that period, but you gotta figure it out in 60 days, man, cause on day 61, like you're actually in violation of our ordinance.
And is there a difference in zoning districts as well, in terms of how this gets phased in or out? Like,
There
there's
could be,
probably
but
is a
that's not how it
difference.
is. There
Okay.
could be, but that's not how it's written now.
Okay,
So you could say like, you could even make the carve out as we have in other areas and say like in the rural area, this is permitted, but in the other zoning districts, it's not. Cause in the rural areas, like where you're gonna have 50 acres and we're not gonna find out and or,
that's
know,
just the
me
advantage
personally
that you
morally
just happen to
care.
have, is you get to hide in the back of your property, but if you live over like around Park Lake, there's,
yeah,
no
and you,
parking.
and you can say like, I guess you can make the moral argument of like, okay, well, basically you're just giving like large, rich landowners like more freedom.
I ain't rich, I live in the.
Yeah. But also, well, you could you make that argument, but the argument I would of course make is, no, we're not giving them extra freedom, we're just reducing your ability to cause harm in these tighter, more packed areas. It's not about them having more, it's about you harming less.
How about, let me throw out a wild card idea. We've introduced force majeure to broaden the scope of hardship, right? I mean, would there be an opportunity to include some language that might be related to unhoused or homelessness, yet have some elements of, in the process of seeking, you know, housing services?
I feel like we're getting into the realm of like social workers at that point. Like, we're no longer administrating land use, now we're like diving into their life situation. That's my only hesitation there too, and it's like that, now the burden on staff is getting quite high.
Yeah.
And like, we're getting way too personally involved.
Yeah.
At some point, could the trustees put a moratorium on this if it gets to a bad situation and we're trying to solve the bigger issues? They have the right to
mean, they always have that
temporarily
right, yeah.
They always
set
have that
aside.
right.
They always have that right, yeah. I would say they already have that right.
They always have that
But that's
right.
their decision.
Yeah.
We just set this up to try and make it so we're not harming next door neighbors in what they're doing. But if we get into a bad situation, just let the trustees take it. They'll be hearing from their constituents more than we will.
Okay, it's your problem.
Heavy as the head.
They get the big bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's a hard one, I mean, you're bringing up like fundamental questions, so like
Yeah.
land use,
Yeah,
so.
and the greater impact to society.
And again, that's why so many local municipalities, the state MDOT is looking at this, and not something they've had to look at before, it's cause it's happening.
We're just, I mean, working in East Lansing, I've seen what they've done to some of these, tent encampments, where they just go in with
For
a
an
brush
hour.
hog and destroy the entire cover. And then, you know, where do these people go?
Yeah.
You know, are they landing in our community because they're being forced out from other communities? And if we force them out, where else do they go?
Yeah, and I think that's where, that we're getting into some really broad stuff here, but like, I think that's where we're looking at one thing here and we're trying to maintain the character of our community. Bath Township's not gonna like solve the housing crisis, but that's why when we talk about some of the other developments and how we review things and land use policy, that's when those conversations come up of like, sustainable growth in the township provides more housing options. I mean, that was a big reason why people, even though I think on this body, people didn't love the I project, it's 70-something dwelling units though. And it's like, we need dwelling units, because the housing, in my mind, I mean, we're getting some broad stuff, but like, the reason housing's expensive is cause we have a mismatch of supply and demand. Their demand's sky high, supply's fixed, you need to increase supply.
I mean, and yeah, we are getting a broad situation, or a broad discussion, and, you know, I appreciate you putting concrete boundaries around the work that we do, but, you know, our work has definitive,
Yeah.
you know, policy work has downstream impacts on real people.
Oh, yeah,
And it's important for
100%.
us to acknowledge and keep that in mind, and try to mitigate that, is if we can do that within the boundaries that are within our scope.
Yeah.
And who does this enforcement go to? Because let's say this is occurring
It'd be the landowner.
on the landowner. So
Yeah.
if this is like on a rental property, you've got like two tiers of people to go through. Are you enforcing it to the person who's living there?
Nope.
The person who's the renter, or the actual
The
landowner?
landowner, and that's always a weird conversation
There's
for
this
us, even
right.
our enforcements now, is like, we'll go up and we'll be like, hey, you know, this activity's going on here, we got a report, and they'll be like, you know, they'll give us some story where like, yeah, are you this name? And they'll be like, no, and we're like, okay, who is that person? They're like, well, that's my landlord, and then, again, we don't have a rental ordinance right now, so we don't have an inventory of who's, and we're like, okay, so you're not the owner, alright, well, have a nice day. They're like, no, well, what's going on? We're like, we can't talk to you about it.
Well, I mean, that poses some interesting issues in terms of, say you have a renter who has an RV parked out front. Property owner can't evict them, I mean, that takes forever, so the property owner is incurring all these fees or fines from the township without any power to force their tenant.
That's true, yeah, I mean,
It
I
could
think how the courts adjudicate rental policy is challenging and subjective. But that's, again, like, it's not our thing to
So
fix.
probably it would be in the landowner's best interest to address this situation in their lease.
Yes,
Going forward, that you cannot sublease part of this property to this
Yes.
type of situation, which is probably what's happening in a few places.
there is
around
one
here.
case I
could
can
be.
think of, Bath Township, where it is the case of like, I'm not sure if the landowner is aware of what's going on or not, but I don't believe they are. But like, if we were to enforce this, they would be made aware.
Yeah, they sure would.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's challenging, it's confusing, but legally that is how it works, I mean,
Yep.
you gotta deal with the landowner.
But I do feel like we might be more open to, for the grandfathered situations, maybe a longer transition
I mean,
period.
Even if it's not in writing, the township policy, it always is to try to work with people, like, we're not, you know, when the code enforcement officer, he's not like, alright, you have 10 days to cure this. Usually it's like, alright, man, well, we talk to them, these are the rules, you know, you're in violation of this. You know, we're gonna give you some time to fix it, if you can't get done, then we'll have to go through the formal process, and usually we'll give them like 2 weeks, and 9 times out of 10, they fix it. It's only the 1 time out of 10 where, okay, now we need an official letter, then 10 days noticing period, you know, that you have to cure it. Okay, it didn't get cured, second letter, another 10 days. So we're always, just by our standard code enforcement process, we're usually 2 months before we're even reaching out to the Clayton County Courthouse for a hearing date. And then that hearing date is, you know, 2 months after that, so there's months of time.
Yeah, well, and I guess considering that most of these structures are mobile.
But there's always the opportunity for the board to approve the ordinance, but not the regulatory ordinance, or the zoning component. That would give Forrest more time, cause all the teeth would be gone.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to cure the
But again,
grandfathered ones.
why write all this stuff
If you're not gonna
if we're
enforce
not
it.
going to enforce it?
Right,
Like our
correct.
Well, you
frustration
know,
with the
I have that
sidewalks,
question
right?
for quite a few things.
I know, I know.
In fact, our next discussion, I think there'll be some of that.
Okay. Well, I think we're pretty broad on what we're talking about right now, but I think we got our marching orders for making some edits.
Okay,
The conversation on if this is the right moral thing to do, I think we'll have to have, once we get this flushed out. Alright,
okay,
are you good, Chair, with me moving?
yeah, I certainly am. Let's
Okay.
go to new business, the hot auto.
Okay. Alright, so this was a pretty small change, and I talked to some of the, commissioners about it, in other municipalities, I've read their language of and worked in, I think this would be administrative, but here in Bath, it's gotta be brought before the planning commission and the board. I spoke with the chair, the developer did ask, or the applicant in this case did ask, they realize it's the typical process of the planning commission to do an introduction and then do a public hearing at a second meeting and a vote at that same second meeting. They asked if we could notice it now, which we
did.
I talked to the chair about it, the planning department felt fine with it. The changes were so minor, I actually highlighted them on this page, cause I was worried people wouldn't be able to tell what was going on if I didn't highlight it. But right now, do I still have fetch up? Let me go to it, right now, the property lines for this property currently run, you know, north-south-ish. Right there, and then the developer / applicant is seeking to run them this way. The impetus for doing so was at the request of SCUMA and how they would like the lead lines. But it also, there was some input from the Cottages Association, to have their driveways on this drive as well, since they're currently going through the process to turn this into a public road, this little stretch here. The applicant is also seeking, since they had to go down this path, bringing this before you guys and the board, to have these three, parcels, lots, combined into cottages common space. This one was always intended for that purpose, but I don't think when this PUD was created, it was correctly labeled that, and then these two were intended to be a buildable site, which is due to the amount of water on that and the soil type there, they felt like it was cost prohibitive to build a structure,
Yeah.
so.
Now, you mentioned too, kind of off, so 86 and 87 up there, are they they're part of the cottages, right?
Oh yeah, you are right, Ray,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
they are,
Those are single-family homes in those two lots.
yeah. This one,
Yeah, yeah, they're both built on right now, already.
yeah. So that's interesting, yeah, they fall on that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if, I guess I'll have to ask the Kesslers, like, are they taking in their fees? Cause then, obviously, the township has no willingness, ability, or interest in enforcing association's rules and standards.
No,
So I have no idea.
So what are you asking us to approve? Just the redrawing of the lot lines for that?
Yep,
Was there also setback?
we did a setback review to see if they could, the setbacks that, so this has custom setbacks, as a lot of PUDs do when their master deed was first created. We did a zoning review to ensure that they could be met and that the frontage was still there for what was approved at the time, and that's all fine.
Do we know what the density is of this development?
What do you mean by density? Like
Number of,
dwellings per
parcels?
acre?
Yeah.
Probably figured that out, but I don't know off the top of my, I don't know if we reviewed that.
But we're reducing, because we're taking 3 lots off.
2 lots.
Yeah, 2 buildable
two
lots
lot buildable lots.
And adding to green space.
and adding
Yeah,
green
So there's
space.
a net increase in green space.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point. And I don't know when this lot was, or when this PUD was created, if our density language was the same as it is today. Now, obviously, they're acting to amend something, so they, they meet the current standard.
Well, technically, we've gotta have a public hearing for this. though.
Yeah, you have to open and close the public hearing.
I need a motion to open the public hearing, please.
So, a motion to open a public hearing.
Is there a second?
A motion to second.
Thank you. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none. Public meeting is open.
I move to close public meeting.
Thank you, George.
Sorry, guys.
Support. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the meeting is closed. Thank you. Okay, does anybody have any further questions on this, or can we get a motion for this?
I move to accept the
Amendments.
amendments as presented.
What,
Thank you. We'll need a roll call vote on
Roll
this.
call, alright. I'm gonna go down my list this time. Commissioner Crainer,
Yes.
Chair Wright,
Yes.
Trustee Hagerman,
Yes,
Commissioner Severie,
yes,
Commissioner Almaridge,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baker.
Yes.
why you
Motion
set that
passes.
up there?
Yep.
Related subject, I think we need to be careful of in the future. It doesn't show on here, but if you take a look at lots 1 and 68. Those are the last lots on the cottages homeowner association.
So it'd be like this one and this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The next homes to the north of this, those two, keep going until you get to Senior Court. See, there are 3 homes in here that are kind of in no man's land. They're not part of the public street, they're not part of the homeowner association.
oh,
Oh, interesting.
So,
they can do what they want.
well, who maintains the road in front of them?
Scofflaws.
Good question.
How did that
It's
happen?
really interesting how all of this happened, I wish I would've been here in the late '90s, early 2000s and figured out why some of this was made this way.
All by the same developer, though.
Yeah,
Well, and it wasn't the Kesslers, right, it was a different person at the time, they bought a lot of this from them.
yeah, the cottages was Kessler. The part that's Hawkeye Drive and stuff, I think Kessler owned all that, but he sold it off kind of piecemeal to developers. The home-
I thought some other guy that I met once when I first got hired here, designed and implemented all this.
It could be, I don't know.
Very possible, because
Okay.
Kessler did sell some of that off to another developer.
Mayberry Homes, or is that?
That could be, Jason, I don't.
'Cause I
really
saw that in some
remember. I
old
don't-
documents, so I was trying to find the original PUD.
Now you could ask Daryl, he'd know.
Yes, that,
Okay.
Well, Chair, you want me to go over?
The meeting
The meeting?
schedule? Yeah, let's go to the meeting schedule, Miles.
Administration asked all the committee, staff liaisons to reach out to their committees, and see if they could make a motion to accept their schedules for the next coming year. I did ask the chair and the vice chair, you know, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but, you know, in the last couple weeks, we've been doing a lot, me and the other planning staff have been doing a lot of events related to the, comp plan. We don't see that slowing down, at least in the beginning of next year, as we're gonna be holding several open houses once this thing gets drafted. So, we did ask if we could maintain our one meeting schedule, and if they like how things are going so far this year, the chair and the vice chair seemed to think that would be okay, so that's how we brought the schedule, before the planning commission tonight. So this would be similar to what we did this year, and then here's the dates for the second meeting of the month, still laid out here for, when those meetings are needed.
So, we did a temporary thing for the remainder of last year, or the current year, right?
Yeah, for
I-
2025.
We have bylaws that we should review, and if we're going to do this more or less in perpetuity, we should really amend the bylaws, that's the proper thing to do.
Yeah, I could see that. I could bring those to you guys next meeting.
There's some other elements that should be updated in the bylaws.
That's
I
correct.
think they're minor things, but.
Right,
Well,
but
is
I
that-
agree with you, Jason, yes.
Is the impetus because you're so busy with the comprehensive plan? Or is it because you're just so busy that 2 meetings a month adds too much to your plate?
I think we were already pretty busy,
Okay,
right? And obviously, the planning department had asked, like, hey, like, if this is really like the workload that we're gonna be taking on, and the board obviously has new priorities too, I think even the board was recognizing, you gotta bring some staff on here, but right now administration has said no to that.
Do we need you here at these meetings?
I don't know, I would say, I've never,
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
yeah, I've never seen a planning commission meeting where there wasn't some planning staff present.
Correct.
But, then, yeah, I think that straw kinda did break our backs a little bit, so to speak, with the comp plan. We were like, we cannot execute this and still run all those. I mean, cause the events we held last month were 2 farmers markets we ended up being at, which some of you did join, so that was cool. And then we did trunk or treat, you know,
Yeah.
that was 3-4 hours. And that was a pretty heavily attended event, passed out over 1,000 pieces of candy. And then we did a Sunday event too, where we're at Peacock Road Tree Farm for most of Sunday afternoon. So we're definitely out there, not just, you know, taking a Tuesday afternoon off, you know, we're
No,
still getting after it.
that's not what my assumption was, but
Right.
I was just thinking in terms of amending the bylaws. Is this what we see going forward, or is this really just a temporary result of going through the comprehensive planning process? But
Right now,
if it frees up more usable time and projects aren't being impacted because we're not having enough meetings, but we still have the ability to have more meetings if needed.
well, the planning commission can always, like, if a project is being impacted, the planning commission could always just call for a special meeting.
Right.
Like, that can happen regardless of your meeting schedule.
We've had some discussions about this, and I've looked through this schedule, and I haven't seen anything that was delayed because of only having one meeting a month.
Yeah,
Now,
Well,
some of the
that's-
meetings, we do use the full 3 hours, but I haven't seen anything that we weren't able to address within that time frame.
I mean, if we were to pull up the plan that the planning commission had on what we wanted to accomplish the beginning of 2025, right?
Yes.
Before we made adjustments and we were to look at what progress did we make. There are things that we have not accomplished, right?
That is
And so
correct.
what we've done in moving to once-a-month meetings is we've trimmed down to the necessary elements of
Yes.
approval of site plans, approval of special use permits.
That is
What we
correct.
don't do is long-term planning. I say that softly, meaning, obviously, you are, as part of, your job, but
Right.
the planning commission's purview in terms of, you know, how do we want, I mean, I'm challenging Ray here in terms of, what do we want this community to look like in
Right.
30 years? You know,
Well-
we're more responsive than, forward thinking. Again, with all due respect for the things that Miles does bring before us in terms
Right.
of, here's the
Well-
hot topics of stuff we need to fix within our ordinance.
That's something that we hope to accomplish with the new updated master plan. And so I'm sure that that is gonna be more important to have more meetings as we go forward to implement the new master plan objectives. Now, what that's gonna entail, I don't know, but I would like personally to leave the option open to call a meeting on the schedule that we had before, which is why Miles has listed potential meeting dates. Because I would hope that everyone would keep that on their calendar as a very good possibility that we wanna utilize,
That's, I mean,
depending on the information we get from the master plan and when we get it.
that's not fair to those of us who carry 9-to-5 jobs and who have families and who are
What would you
trying to plan.
suggest?
We maintain a regular schedule, right? And if it's once a month, it's once a month, right? Then I don't have to put a hold on my calendar for the every other one. If it's twice a month, then, you know, it's twice a month.
So would you prefer that we schedule twice a month and we cancel the meeting if we don't have anything to really talk about on the agenda?
I mean, that again creates the issue of, if I'm putting hold on my calendar, and hopefully I'm not the only one. If I'm the
No, no,
only one, then, you know,
well,
don't
you're-
worry about me, I just not show up if I have like some sort of conflict, right?
Well, I don't wanna put you in that position, Jason, if I could avoid it.
So, I mean, there's-
Or we could avoid it, let me put it that way.
There's two different issues here. One is, you know, honoring our time by maintaining a regular schedule, right?
Correct.
And then the second is, what is it the work that we want to accomplish? And so, we have a structural problem in terms of we are understaffed in the planning departments, and the planning department can't get the work done while also maintaining, you know, the historical schedule of.
That is correct.
Well, then we have to create the packets, do the minutes and
Yeah,
other
and
things, yeah.
you've done a phenomenal job and you've improved that process significantly, but at the cost of your, you know, work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
And so, we can't, in the current climate, we can't address that structural problem by hiring additional staff, right?
Correct, not at this point in time.
So we have this sticky issue of trying to decide of, you know, do we just scale back the work that we want to accomplish on behalf of our community?
Right.
In service of the board, well, I mean, I guess that's
Well, I think
the
that's a
central
really,
issue, right?
I think that's an important thing that we discussed, and that was the reason we asked for your, people's input.
Well, no, there's a different, I mean, Miles came here with, just please approve the schedule, right, so we can move forward and go home.
Right.
Kinda, yeah.
And I would say that in service of that desire, let's go ahead and approve the normal calendar of the planning commission, and as we approach January, then let's make a 3-month, you know, hold on, the second meetings, and then, and until what the comprehensive plan work, outreach work that Miles and team are engaged in is done, and then we can reassess at that point. It's functionally the same thing, but it doesn't require us to do the correct thing, which would be, if we realistically think we're going to have, move from a twice a month, calendar to once a month, we should amend our bylaws to do that.
I
That's the
mean,
problem.
if we needed the special meeting, what's the lead time that you think that we would have on it? 2 weeks?
Well, we'd have to have some lead time on it to make the packet and notice and everything.
Right, so 2 to 3 weeks. Like if you said to me, you know what?
Minimum.
There's this project, it's time sensitive. I'd like to add March, 24th or whatever, you're gonna be telling me that March 1st, February 10th even, that's, even with my work schedule and my family schedule, that would certainly be a reasonable amount of time for me to hold that day. Either I would know it was booked, or I could keep it clear.
I would
So I
anticipate,
would say, let's just scrap the second set of dates, and as needed.
I would
with a
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Reasonable lead time, 2 to 3 weeks notice, I don't think that's unreasonable,
The
do you,
normal-
Jason?
If it's, if it's, rare or periodic, right? So the structure that we have right now is that we have, once a month, but please put a hold on your calendar for the second one, because it might just show up. What you're saying is, let's just move this calendar to once a month, and then continue to exercise the option of doing special meetings as needed.
With-
And if that's the
with
case, I mean,
notice, I think.
I'm fine with that.
I mean,
You
the
know,
board of trustees, sometimes we get a weekday's notice sometimes for our special meetings. That's happened. It's not a common practice, but it certainly has
Yeah,
happened.
the reason.
So I feel like 2 or 3 weeks would be,
Yeah, the reason that I would say it'd be different for the
Fantastic.
planning commission versus board, so if you notice a special meeting, you only are required to have 24 hours notice, which the board obviously utilizes. In the planning context, the reason, if there is something's time sensitive, it's likely probably a developer who has applied pressure to us, of like, dude, we gotta get this Ace Hardware up and running, or they're gonna walk. And so then we get sensitive to that, however, that means that we're probably being pushed for a public hearing, and we need at least 3 weeks.
Correct.
So there's no situation where, if it's an ordinance, I don't see where, and again, if you move down to one meeting a month, like we've amended, let's say in this hypothetical, we've amended the bylaws, we're running one meeting a month, which, again, the impetus for all of that was, that's how 99% of planning commissions work, one meeting a month. The only planning commissions that don't work like that are planning commissions with large staff, East Lansing, Detroit, places like that. But then if a special meeting did occur under this scenario, that it doesn't even have to be the fourth Tuesday, it could be the third Wednesday of the month, it could be whenever.
are these dates holding up this room from being used for anything else? So these second Tuesdays?
No,
Is
cause
that-
nothing's scheduled there anyways. We kinda just put them here for your convenience to see when they will
Okay.
be.
Well, that would be the normal schedule.
That'd be the normal 2-week schedule.
Right.
Prior to 2025.
I don't anticipate that we would ever be in the situation where we couldn't advise people at the meeting on the second Tuesday of the month that we were gonna have one on the fourth Tuesday.
And I guess from the staff side of things, like, obviously, whatever the planning commission collectively wants to do, we will do, and like, we'll accommodate. My point has always been though, like, there is lead time work to a meeting, there's time at the meeting, and then there's post time after the meeting.
Correct.
And when all that time is collectively, like, to Commissioner Almarigi's point, we wanna do these high level things, well, like, that requires preparation for like, okay, well, let's produce a map of how many rental units we actually have in the property. Like, this all requires input, and then that just funnels our time away from, like, let's say enforcement that everybody so desperately wants, myself included. Like, we have been able to do more enforcement this year, because we are, than I think any year I've worked here, because we've gone down to one meeting a month. And because coincidentally, I guess too, it has worked out that we've went down to one meeting a month, cause it's been a very slow year for commercial growth.
Correct.
So those two factors together, we've gotten more enforcement follow-up than we've ever been able to have.
Now you're speaking Jason's language.
well, no, I'm not, he's not, I mean, I don't know why you're doing enforcement as opposed to.
I'm the zoning administrator, so some enforcement can only happen from the zoning side.
Alright, well, again, the other concern is, are we accomplishing what we wanna accomplish for our community?
Yeah, did we set the goals too high this year? And do we need to make sure that they're reasonable goals, that we get them done within the time frame of one meeting, 3 hours? again, I used to be on a school board, and 2 AM I don't wanna do. You know,
Well, by bylaws, we can't go past 9, right?
Can't start a new item past 9.
Right.
Yeah, I guess again, from the staff perspective, it's like, we'll have these high level things that get discussed. There's gotta be output or input to those things, and all it causes for us is it's not like a this and that situation, it's like a this or that situation. So like if we're engaging in this, we're just not engaging in that. And so the planning commission just has to determine, I guess, what they want us to engage in, and if they feel like the work product they got this year is superior to the years they've had prior. Which I feel like we've given you guys more complete reports, cause we've just honestly had more time to develop the report before you see it, that's why the reports have been more thorough this year. Where before, we're like, okay, the meeting is, cause we basically get a meeting on a Tuesday, then the rest of that week, we're kinda collapsing down from the meeting, wrapping things up, doing our minutes, getting all that, then we have a packet week the next week.
Let me interrupt. Yes, I think we all understand the amount of labor that's going into this.
Yeah, but there's no time to do work, that's
Well,
the problem.
Again, the issue is not how hard you work, and the issue is not the desire of us to enact change in our community. The issue is that your office is understaffed,
Yeah.
right? Pure and simple, and you're just trying to manage that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the effect of that is then we end up bringing like the senior center report, like how we did it this year. The year prior, we were like, alright, well, the report's only halfway done, but we gotta put something on the agenda, then they gotta discuss, so let's just show them the report, get some feedback. It doesn't, like, we didn't put a new item on that agenda, we don't have time for a new item, we just put the other item halfway done.
Are we still getting the same amount of work done in one meeting essentially as that we are in two?
Well, you're getting, there's more items on the agenda per meeting, because there's only one meeting per month.
Correct.
So, it depends on how you're measuring what's getting done, if it's more or less.
Cause
So-
it seems like we're still getting the same stuff done, but with one meeting instead of two.
It sounds like it sounds to me like the real problem is, we want more high-level conversations happening, we don't feel like we have time for those.
Like you're talking about like what's on our, list that we had, our
Talking about
plan,
The work plan?
work plan.
Well, it's just like, what is the direction of the township type of conversations?
Like, for example, one thing that I think we should discuss that I don't think we have the time to is like, can we put some language around, data centers, right? This is
Yeah.
a huge issue that's affecting rural communities, and that can have significant impacts on, you know, the natural resources and the utilities. What I'm hearing is that we don't have time, because we are focused on getting the day-to-day work done. And, you know, if we add more meeting times, there's, you know, a substantial amount of work that we don't see that is absorbed by your office, and you don't have the capacity to do that. Not by any virtue of you, but because the township is limited in resources to handle, you know, staffing to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So if we have that second meeting, is that gonna help with that particular thing, or is it?
Well, here's the conundrum, what I'm hearing is that, no, because
That's
there's a
enough.
50% workload, that would be, I mean, I'm just
Cause
making
we're
up
not
numbers,
actually
right?
doing the work behind the
Right.
scenes work.
So if you, I mean, how many hours does it take for your team to plan? Say, what, 10 hours per 1 hour meeting here?
10 hours might be high if it's per one, obviously it depends on what's on the agenda, but like, yeah, like a whole working day is not out of the question.
Yeah.
I've lost track of what we're actually debating here.
1 or 2 meetings.
Okay.
So we're trying to determine how to move forward with the meeting question, I guess.
It seems to me what we're talking about is, I think what we're talking about, is scheduled one meeting a month, and everything else will be a special meeting. No, and it doesn't have to be the fourth Tuesday, it could be the third Monday.
Well, that's true,
Whatever.
right, yeah.
You just do it that way, then there's no fixed time for that extra meeting, it's just whenever we need one.
That's
There-
what I'm,
There's, alright, but there's a couple options on how to move forward, to Kate's point, just to like reiterate. Alright, so basically, the actions tonight can either be to cancel because Jason is correct that we do have the planning commission as bylaws.
Correct.
And just saying one meeting a month would be in violation, how we got around that last year was we just canceled the second meeting of every month.
Correct.
So that could happen tonight, or Jason proposed an option where he said, let's accept the schedule, the regular schedule, so both meetings, and come January, we'll cancel a couple of the second ones. So that could happen. The planning commission could also accept the schedule as presented, but then also instruct me to bring back the bylaws to amend them, formally going down to one meeting a month. I guess that's also been put on the table
That
tonight.
would be a third option.
That's the options I've heard tonight.
So,
Yes, correct.
you want a motion?
Is
Need
everybody
one on the
happy with?
floor.
Is there one on the floor?
Is there one on the floor?
No, I don't think there is. If you wanna put a motion on the floor.
I move
George?
to accept the schedule as the 2 meetings a week, and you cancel the schedule first of the year till we get it figured out and bring the bylaws in the next meeting or two.
Okay,
we
so
can-
kind of a hybrid option.
I
So
can
you wanna
amend
see the
that.
bylaws, you wanna amend the bylaws, but to move forward tonight,
To move forward tonight, except like.
the regular schedule and cancel in January.
As. Do we need more discussion maybe?
But if we do that, does that mean there's gonna be another meeting in November and 2 meetings in December?
No,
No?
No,
that's already set,
Means
this is for
come
next year.
January,
But will that mess up Taylor's planning, and reporting?
No, she'll be fine, this is just to get the calendar
it'll be
locked
just
in.
like we are now.
It's gonna cause Taylor a little bit more work, and she might be pissed about that, but you guys get to decide.
Well, what are the other
Second.
options? The other option is to not abide by the bylaws, which we need to abide by the bylaws.
Yeah, you don't wanna go that option, you should abide by the, Commissioner Almaridge is correct that, long-term, if this is the direction we're moving in, which, again, objectively and, biasly, I think one meeting a month is what I'm more used to prior to my time working here.
So come January, we could make a motion to,
Yeah, I mean, I can bring you back the bylaws at the next meeting, just so you can take a look at them too, and then,
Right.
come January, you could instruct me in December to make some changes, I could bring those back in January.
thank you.
Alright, so there's a motion, I guess.
so is there a second?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, any further discussion? Anybody?
So the motion is,
Except what's on here.
No, except this,
Accept
accept the current schedule
The
we
regular
have.
schedule.
the regular
Regular
schedule.
2 meetings a month, every other, first and third Tuesday.
In
Okay.
January, you guys will review what meetings to cancel,
And in January, we'll probably
and you'll
cancel.
also review the bylaws.
Anticipating we will most likely
Unless we
go to
review
one
the
meeting a month
bylaws.
officially.
We could review
I
the
would like to
bylaws
see
and
that.
determine that, actually we do like 2
Could we just
meetings.
make that motion now,
To go 1 meeting a month,
to go one meeting a month and amend the bylaws to reflect it?
yes,
You could do that.
I think
I
that
can
might be
with-
more clear,
I can withdraw my
if that's really our
motion.
intention, or you can amend it.
Just withdraw it, and the second
Just
withdraw
withdraw
it,
it
and then
and
we
make a
come
new
back.
one.
I withdraw my motion and amend it to be 1. Can I do that, Jason?
I'm just a.
No, I mean by
Commissioner.
the bylaws, I didn't look at it, so I don't know.
The bylaws indicates, the normal schedule, right, which
Right,
is
2
twice
meetings
a
a
month.
month.
It's
So
like
we,
the-
so my
the
motion would be to
second
change the
and
bylaws.
third-
Second and fourth.
It's the second and
Second,
fourth.
fourth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
My
you're,
motion is to amend the bylaw to be 1 meeting a month.
okay. And the schedule
But-
will tentatively
Sched-
reflect that
schedules, that's-
anticipated change.
Yes,
Special meetings if necessary.
on the second Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
anytime.
So, yeah,
Second Tuesday of the month is.
Okay.
what we'll do.
that's a fixed one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would like any input if I'm off base with this panel.
No, I think that's fine, just come January, if that amendment isn't made yet, now you're in violation of the,
Wait,
yes.
he's making the motion for the amendment.
he's making the motion for the amendment, but if that amendment isn't, you're asking us to go and write that now sight unseen, which we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
but
it's
who's
not
second?
gonna, if it's.
No, that would be fine, you can do that.
Yeah,
If
you
it's
can
not
do
gonna
that.
be against any protocol or whatever.
No, you can do that. Okay.
No second though yet.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? No? How do you wanna vote? Do you want a roll call? Do you want
No,
No?
just a voice. You'll need a roll call on the
It'll
bylaws.
change. On the bylaws, you'll need a roll call.
Yeah.
That is what we're voting on right now.
Oh,
We're
that's,
asking him to bring that back.
Roll call.
okay, so.
No, that's not what he motioned, that,
No,
you
he-
seconded
Maybe
the
I
amendment of the bylaws to once per month.
missed- Yeah, okay.
And the schedule of the second Tuesday of every month was all combined in
Okay.
one motion. Is that what your intention
Yes.
was?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So
Okay.
then you'll need a roll call vote.
Yes,
Alright, Commissioner Crainer,
yes.
Chair Wright,
Yes.
Trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Severie,
Yes,
Commissioner Almaridge,
No.
Vice Chair Baker.
Yes.
Alright, and we have an absent, motion carries.
Okay,
Alright, thank you guys.
thank you.
We'll make the change, update it, and then, when I update the change, I will email out the bylaws, just cause I think people probably haven't seen them in a while, and might be
No, we haven't
curious.
seen him in a long
Yeah.
time.
Alright, I appreciate that, sorry for the long conversation, wasn't my
That's,
intention.
that was my fault.
No, you're fine,
That was not your fault.
it's healthy to know.
It wasn't
But I
your
think
fault
that-
at all.
but I think the thing
No,
is,
it's Jason's
conversation.
fault.
if we see we aren't getting some of the stuff done we need to get done, we
Right.
just need to schedule a couple of special meetings,
Correct,
to get it done.
correct.
I'm assuming that.
And I'll say too, scheduling a special meeting to have a high level conversation. If we're instructed like, hey, just don't put a lot together, that significantly reduces our impact on staff. We'll still have to make minutes for the meeting, but then we don't have we're not front loaded on our work requirement.
Correct.
I'm assuming that we'll still accomplish in one meeting what we might be able to accomplish in two.
It depends.
Okay.
Alright,
Yeah, I
So,
think that's-
just, I mean, related to that, I mean, if we crack open the bylaws, there's no reason why that we can't have a secretary position on this board to relieve your office from writing minutes.
yeah, I mean, that's how a lot of planning commissions operate.
Again, just saving
Are
you
you
some effort.
volunteering?
Am I offering?
Are you, yeah.
I nominate,
Why did I open my mouth?
Alright.
You're gonna have your second Tuesdays free.
Um,
Get it done.
Okay. If the chair's okay, I'll remove
Yeah,
to
yeah,
report
go
from
ahead.
planner.
Go
Alright, the
ahead.
only thing I got tonight, let's see, my agenda here. Comp plan survey was the only thing I put on there. I just wanted to show you guys, so we are getting some results moving in. I did, email back and forth with the consultants a little bit today. They wanna see more responses, so I think we're gonna do a couple more events for,
I
so.
think you also need to do some Facebook blasts. I saw it one time.
We've done 3,
Really?
I think
Okay.
total.
Do it like every other day.
We also asked Ray Cocky to share it from the Parks of, the
He did.
Friends of Park
Park
Lakes
Lake,
page and then
okay.
share that to the community page.
Okay.
I think we could probably tap the senior center a little bit better than we are though, and, some of you might be on our interested parties email list where your email has gotten added to, the comp plan updates. We're gonna tap that again, just to get, like, people that are more engaged, hopefully like re-engaged if they haven't already taken it. And then I think they said their middle school basketball is going on, we might just set up our table and pass out
Did
things
you
again.
guys make it to football?
We didn't make
We
it to
didn't make-
football.
okay. I didn't think I'd seen you there, but
No, we thought about it, but we just had so many events we were doing right before it ended that we just didn't make it. But basketball was going on, we thought maybe that'd be good. The only downside of doing that is then we're only capturing the Bath School District, and that excludes kind of the Hazlet School District, but then it's like if we go to Hazlet, we're gonna get mostly Meridian people,
Right,
so it's
right.
trade-offs.
I mean,
Yeah.
Bath School District is the only school district where its buildings are physically in
Yeah,
Bath
it's
Township.
like all Bath, almost. There may be a little bit of the school district, I think goes
It
into
goes
DeWitt.
into DeWitt, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, there is.
Alright, but anyways, I mean, it's pretty good skew as skewing older in terms of response rates, but not terribly skewing older. So that's fair. I think, the survey, there's IT issues, people also are getting, you can tell, worn out. They're like, oh my god, how long is this thing, and just ending it. But like the first question's answered, it's like 145 answers, 2 skips. By the time you get to the end, it's like 80 answers, 40 skips. But I would say on average, we got around like 110, 120 people taking the survey, which in my mind is not terrible. The consultants want better, but whatever. And I even know, when we did our testing, we got halfway through and then had an IT issue, which 4 skips showing for the last little part, and then we were able to back out and retake it. So sometimes stuff just happens, but we'll distill the data, better, in term, better when we're showing our M results to account for skipping. The other thing is I just wanted to show people the areas on response rates. So if you remember, area B is kind of like that central Bath Village area. I again acknowledge that the northern borderline went up too far and some people got added to that. But again, it's not terribly skewed either way. G is really small, but it's also a small landmass area, but that's, I believe G was the Chandler area. I'd have to look at the map real quick. I'll have to look at the map real quick. I should have had the map pulled up by its side, but this is kind of, I just wanted to show you guys what's going on with the response rate. It's going okay, basically. We're gonna extend it for a little bit though. If you guys got any good ideas on events, let us know. And that's kinda all I got is report from planner, if you guys.
I sent the thing that, out to everybody in our homeowners association, I don't know how many responses you got back from that. I know you should've got one, cause he sent it back, I did it, so.
Yeah,
But I don't know how many might have, but there's 62 possibles.
I know, and so obviously not all of them took it, which is kinda surprising, cause I feel like your neighborhood's like super involved, so.
You know, some
I was
of them.
counting on at least 30 from them.
Our HOA pushed it out to do the survey.
Okay, well, maybe, you could ask, if you guys wanted to help us out, maybe you could ask them to re-push it out and just say, hey, if you haven't already taken it, cause that's what our consultant said too, kinda what Kate's speaking of. People see it on Facebook, they acknowledge it, they saw it, but then they don't take it, it's when they see it that second or third time that they're like, oh, I need to do that.
Yeah, same, I saw Allison sent it out, like, oh, I gotta do that, and then I started on my phone, same thing, I ran into a IT issue, I don't remember what happened, but I had abandoned it.
Yep.
And then I was back in my email and I took it on the computer. I found it much faster to take on the
it's
computer.
far
So if
faster on
you're
the
clicking,
computer.
if you're on your computer with an email link, that's probably the way to do it. Mobile, you can do it, but I found it a little more cumbersome just to
Yeah,
go
so
through
maybe
it.
we have Ally
Testing
send
more.
out 2 email blasts, and maybe we time our second email to be like at like 7 o'clock at night or something, like after,
Yeah.
like the first one we'll do during working hours, maybe time it on lunch, when people are checking their personal email, and then maybe we do our one like after dinner, to see if
Yeah.
maybe we can get people again.
Yeah,
The township doesn't have a list of all the homeowners associations.
No,
Officers or whatever.
we tried to do that when I first got here, like to get contacts, but they changed so much, like yours might be more stable.
Yeah, we haven't changed it
But
yet.
like, especially Mead Creek for a while, we were like, who's the president of Mead Creek? It was like, they went through like 4 people rapid fire, and now they have a firm that does it.
Yeah.
So it's challenging to maintain a list. Okay, so that's what's going on with that. We're working on it basically, it's going good, but it's not going great.
Right, I'd like to see a lot more responses. That's different.
Yeah, I feel like we're putting in the work, it's hard to get people to take a survey.
Yeah, it seems to be. Well, no public here, so let's move on. Kate, have you got a report for us?
nothing major. Our meetings at the Board of Trustees have kind of been shorter as well, recently. I did see there was a budget hearing scheduled for beginning of December, so if you're curious about that, keep your eyes on that. But I did wanna share that at the October 20th meeting, the Board of Trustees had a presentation from Doug Steffen, the director of the Clinton County Road
Yep.
Commission. And he shared that in this past construction season, the County Road Commission completed 13 miles of paving in the county, and they also, of course, highlighted the project here in Bath Township, Webster Road, and
Yeah.
concert with the Safe Routes to School for the sidewalk, and the immense positive feedback and how happy they were with how that project wrapped up, and they were really happy with the results. They also said that they are at 103% funded in their pension system. So that actually
Well, that's
gives
good.
them, which they had been working toward for a while, that gives them a little cushion. So now some of that extra money that they had been funneling that way can actually go back into road projects, which they were excited about. And then, the most exciting part I think you guys are gonna wanna hear about is he shared that the County Road Commission this past year had completed a culvert assessment. And so he brought this report of the culverts that are located throughout Bath Township. These culverts had some requirements that they had to meet, in terms of size. They had to be greater than 48 inches in diameter, so they're not looking at like driveway culverts, but these were roadway culverts. And less than 19 feet in span. If it's beyond that, then it's flagged as a bridge. It's no longer classified as culvert. It falls in the bridge category. So those were the parameters for what they were looking for. And they said they had never before gone out and done an actual assessment. So they hired a firm, engineering firm, that went all around, well, the county, but in Bath Township, and they did all these culverts. And so he shared a map, and I'll pass this around, of the culverts located around the township, and they're color coded by the conditions. So there were green is good, red is in bad shape, and then yellow is in the middle. And the one that they flagged in bad shape was on Chandler Road, but that is a county road, so that's on them to fix it, not on Bath Township. So that was good news for us. But yeah, I'll pass this down. It has kind of a summary of some of the notes and things that they meant, but as soon as he handed it out, I said, the guys at the planning commission are gonna want to see this, so.
Especially the road committee.
I thought that was interesting that they were going around and doing that survey work here around the township and sharing that out. So if you have any questions about it, it's probably in the packet.
Thank you.
We have any more report yet on the status of Chandler Road project? It was
Not happening anytime soon. The superintendent did just do a project report, I think actually at the last meeting. The deputy superintendent ended up doing it. Let's see, it was, I know it did get mentioned in there, but I don't see it in my paperwork. I might be missing a page. It was kind of continuing talks on budgets. MDOT's not giving us any more money. What do we trim in the project, or how do we try and find other money? But it's at least into 27, is my understanding.
I don't know, yeah, I listened to that part of the meeting, and the deputy superintendent did do her best to, relay, but I don't know how much she's been involved, but yeah, that's not, so there's a MDOT project going on in 2027 on 127, and so that has accelerated the road commission's timeline. They are making a hard push, and we're trying to help them get this done in 2026. That is the plan right now. Maybe she was hesitant to say that, cause you always want to just say 27, and then when 26 happens, everyone's happy. But, yeah, we really need to get it done by 26. There is some budgeting issues that we're running into, and there's even been a conversation this week about the scope of the budget and having to, that Granger Construction is reviewing the estimates from the engineering firms to get kind of a real world take on these numbers to see if we're like in the wheelhouse. And they are currently doing that, and there is some fluctuation. So again, the project, I think, will have to come back and be re-looked at to trim. When all this trimming finally gets figured out, the design will be finalized, and, they'll start buying things to do the work hopefully in 2026. It's taken forever. There's also been some holdups from Eagle, and their assessment of the drain and enclosing that and what's required to get all those permits, so that costs like 6 months right there.
Where's our Eagle guy?
Yeah. Brett's gonna hook us up.
He's at a special meeting.
Otherwise, I think that was all that I had to share that I thought would be relevant to the planning commission. The things that we had sent up for Miles is all gotten.
Yeah, I got to
approved.
skip
Yeah.
one. I didn't have to be there last time.
Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't have anything on the agenda.
Cool.
Any planning commissioners have anything you wanna say, Jason?
Actually, yeah.
This is a lot of shade right now.
I hope so. I don't wanna put you on the spot.
No, so I'd mentioned, data centers, and, the more I read about it, these are artificial intelligence data centers. These are massive operations that bring in few jobs, that
Very
eat up a
few.
ton of resources.
Especially water.
Water,
Water.
water is the main
And
consideration.
electricity, huge amounts of electricity.
Yeah, and so we're, neighboring, homeowners are having their wells, dry up.
Yep.
And, the conditions of the water are eroded based on how they're trying to mitigate some of those things. I think that the challenge is that, these companies come in with a massive amount of money and top dog lawyers that we would never be able to compete against. And so, but what we can do, to help mitigate is to put some, ordinances in place. Not necessarily a flat out, we're denying these things, but we have put a stake in the sand, or a line in the sand in terms of, we're savvy enough to think about this, and we're gonna put up a fight. And the effect of that is that it won't guarantee that we wouldn't get some sort of data center in our community. What it signals to the companies that are, looking for communities to put this in, they're looking for communities that are not prepared and weak. And they'll target them first, so that, because they have a higher, probability of favorable conditions, in there. And I think it would be worthwhile, and I don't know how much work it would take, and I'd be willing to bird dog some language on this, to see where can we, find a spot within our, ordinances or zoning where we might be able to just add some language to just create a little bit of a hurdle.
You could always get some initial language just in place, just to get it there.
Yeah.
Too, and then like get more detailed language, to your point of like, I agree, I don't disagree with the thing you said, they're huge land use impact, they're fairly new.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the MTA or the Michigan Planning Association has like, guidance ordinance on this, which usually they have. If they're not working something up right now, I don't know what they're doing either.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we could get something in place.
And I'm, I'll defer to Miles, but, it seems to me that that would be good strategy on our parts to help shield ourselves.
Well, some of the things are huge, like a couple in southeast Michigan is 1,000 acres, and one's not quite that big. The one in Lansing's kind of interesting though,
Yeah,
because that's supposed to be a self-enclosed one where they're gonna recycle the water gets heated up, and Lansing has a specific thing where they use hot water to heat the buildings downtown.
yes, they do,
Donating it to
yeah,
Board Water and
PWL does,
Yeah,
yeah.
giving it to Board Water and Light, it's reducing the Board Water and Light's cost by $1 million or something like that.
That's a super unique situation,
It
given
is.
the location along the river and the Board of Water and Light right there,
Yeah,
right?
it is. There's one lady that complained, though, she says, I thought that was gonna be a park. Well, I know where it is, it's not exactly the place I'd want to park, but that's okay.
Moving away from Washington DC, the county I was in, they put like 35 of these up and nothing flat. I mean, they were building them as fast as they could. Biggest issue was getting the power in. And all of a sudden, you've got heavy-duty transmission lines coming in. And next to your apartment complex, you've got 6 of these buildings, and that's all they are, and all these emergency generators sitting outside. And the only thing that was positive about them was the tax. That was the only positive. Yeah, but other than that, they were just big cement blocks.
Yep.
Didn't I just see something that Finland is putting them underground? And
Yes,
then they
they
use
are.
the heat passively?
It sounds like something
That's
they do.
the ordinance.
That sounds like
We only allow them underground.
Yeah,
But, yeah, and I mean, the security on them, they've got major security around them.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It was just amazing how fast they went up.
And for their size and land use, there's few jobs that are generated.
Right.
You know, these are fairly autonomous structures.
Yeah.
And they eat up a lot of land, and when we're thinking long-term about land use in our
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
that's,
The planning industry overall is kind of forming a consensus of like being largely against these in lieu of other things coming online to make them to control for the externalities. So I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. I don't disagree with anything you're saying.
so I'd be willing to use AI to draft some language against itself.
AI's gonna remember that.
I mean, again, I think we should consider it.
You've been following the one that they're proposing in Saline?
I'm not.
They're
That's a hot
partnering with U
topic
of
in-
M so that they're exempt from the zoning ordinances.
We have MSU land
Yes, we do.
in Bath Township with lots of water.
I don't know
it's
about lots of
a hot
water,
topic
but-
in Fowlerville and Howell right now.
Yeah, well, if the planning
Work.
commission, I mean, is in consensus or not objecting to that, I mean, we can take a look at some language and bring it back. What do you think, Sherry, you want us to,
I don't have any objection
Okay.
to it. But I haven't seen any boilerplate language from.
no, that's what makes it hard to create, we'll look, I mean, we'll see what we can find. That's what makes it hard, though, I wish that more of our, like, guidance organizations would be pushing some of this out. I think just, you know, from what I know about it, I would imagine there's lots of pressure on these larger institutions to drag their feet here maybe a little bit. I mean, the energy sector alone, I mean, this is huge dollars for them, like, we're talking about billions. So like DTE and Consumers Energy have every incentive to make sure these things are happening. Cause they also, I was reading recently, this gets way into the weeds with it, but, so wait, utilities are highly regulated and they can only go for, cost adjustment, requests to the state, they have to go to the state when they're gonna raise their rates. There has to be qualifying events that allow them to go to the state and request rate increases. They basically live for these qualifying events.
Yep.
Having a number of these data centers requesting to come online meets some bar within their rules to allow to go to the Attorney General's office and ask for a rate changing event to take place. So, they love these things, they're all about them,
So
and that's a
residents
really
are
powerful lobby to
bearing the
have.
costs through the rate change, the rate increases?
Well, that's what's being alleged nationwide, yeah.
Yeah.
And the data centers have said that, and there's, me and the interns watched, some classes on this, and then we watched just to keep it balanced, we watched like what some of the media was putting out, and we looked at some stuff from different sides of the spectrum. But, what's being alleged is that the ratepayers are paying for the increase. Now, the companies themselves have said, of course, that's not taking place, but then there's all this evidence and data that is in fact taking place.
Well, I'm sure somebody's gonna pay for it. And it probably
Energy's
isn't
not
gonna be
free.
those.
Yeah.
I would question that these things are not long-term viable solutions to the data problem, because if you look at the technology that's changing in chip manufacturing and chip processing, a lot of this energy that's being consumed is gonna be obsolete. And I don't think that the longevity and the payback is gonna be there, and I think they're gonna be obsolete before they're costed out.
And if that's the case, then we end up with these giant facilities that
They're
are
gonna be
no longer-
obsolete, yeah. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah. All we need to do is just put enough incentive to push it just north of us in communities,
Well,
Clinton County.
Well, the other problem is, so where do they get their water? They get their water out of the Saginaw Aquifer. That's where
In
we get our
general,
water.
yes, that, you're right, Ray, yeah.
So if they go north, they just suck the water before it ever gets here.
Right, correct.
So it's,
Yeah, and we've already sucked it down 17 feet in the last decade,
not that much.
according to the well drillers I've talked to.
Okay, so we'll take a look at some of the ordinance that's out there right now related to this topic and try to bring you guys something back. I mean, that's a good project for us to work over the winter too, cause, December is a good ordinance writing month.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so, cause our permits our permit side dries up a lot.
Oh,
One, cause
yeah.
it's getting colder, and then two, because people are focused on their families and not so much
Yeah.
where their zoning permits at.
Yeah, good point.
We also bring back the bylaw stuff too.
Well, we're not gonna bring, you told us to make the changes, but we'll all send out what the changes look like.
Okay.
Yeah, cause you already voted
I
on
had to
it.
make that, I had to clarify that for myself too. It's been clear, I'm clarified now though.
As always, I appreciate those that work behind the scenes.
Thank you,
You guys do a good job, appreciate it.
thank you. Any other comments? No, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a
second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?